The streaming landscape therein got even more cluttered when CBS All Access became Paramount Plus. The service is now home to BET content, CBS programming, Nickelodeon programming, along with a gaggle of movies. It was also announced that the new Mission Impossible movie and A Quiet Place, which just got bumped up, I believe, to May now for a release date. So I guess they're banking on a pretty successful and rapid vaccine rollout because that was originally coming out in September of this year. But moreover, the reason I bring them up is because they will debut on Paramount Plus about 45 days after they're released in theaters. And my guess, though, with Paramount Plus, first and foremost, the price. It's $5.99 a month for the ad tier option. So it's kind of like Peacock, but you don't have a free tier. Peacock, you have a free tier, and then an ad tier, and then no ads, I believe. But you have $5.99 a month for Paramount Plus with ads, $10 a month to go ad-free. Now, CBS All Access was one of the OG streaming services back in 2014, at least one of the early ones. It has since amassed 8 million subscribers since its launch. And my guess for the rebranding is that CBS/Viacom wanted to include more Viacom properties in their service. That's my guess. I don't really know. And maybe also just broaden it because CBS All Access, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I think of CBS. I think of Big Bang Theory. I think of Survivor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I think of that line. It's almost like a narrow vision versus Paramount, which we know Paramount Pictures has been around for 100 years. You know, there's a broader, I guess, landscape with that. But before I turn it over to you guys, too, I'll add this. Great article on Vox, really good article by Peter Kafka and Randy Mala, who kind of broke down like the market in which Paramount Plus is entering. Paramount Plus enters a crowded market, to say the least. HBO Max and Peacock entered the scene last year. HBO Max just confirmed last week that it'll be dropping the price. And I quote this from their press conference. They said they're dropping the price because, quote unquote, most people aren't wealthy. Genius friggin' realization right there. But that doesn't even factor in like Netflix and Hulu, which remain the giants of the streaming service. And Vox provided this very interesting graphic. I'm sure Joe and his technical wizardry will show it across the screen.
Oh, it's already up there.
Oh, it's already up there. You see,
Yeah.
I got tunnel
I love
vision.
these charts, dude. This is so clean.
These charts are sweet. Vox does a really good job with these. VOX, FYI. But anyway, Vox put up this graphic, though, that I thought was interesting. A couple different ones, but the first one on there, I like the most because it shows you the people who signed up for streaming services in January and then the retention rate for all the major players on there, including Netflix, Apple TV, Hulu, Showtime, HBO Max, and a handful of others. And you go down the list, it's pretty fascinating because there's always that honeymoon period with a new streaming service when you first get it. I know there is for me, and I own like way more. I'm not the status quo in streaming services.
That was Disney Plus when it first came out. Like I remember like thinking like, wow, I'm gonna be on here forever. There's so much stuff to watch. And then you realize it's like, man, I've seen this stuff like hundreds of times already.
It's absolutely the case. But I found it interesting that like Apple TV got, everybody gets new subscribers in January, but by July, I believe, 7 months in, according to this graphic, Apple TV last year lost 70% of new subscribers. 70% from January to July. Showtime from that same period lost over 60%. These are new subscribers, beginning of the year subscribers to the month of July. Showtime lost over 60. CBS All Access at the time, what it was known, lost nearly half. And then Netflix and Hulu saw the best retention rate, but they still lost over 30% of new subscribers. So the tricky part here, and I've kind of distilled the article down, but I knew I wanted to monologue on this since I spend way too much time hawking over streaming analytics, is that it's most people have one, maybe two streaming services. Statistical data shows that those who are subscribed to CBS All Access are more likely to have and pay for multiple. So that's kind of the good news with Paramount Plus there. But the bad news also is that it's gotten to the point now with streaming services that there's been so much consolidation of properties and content to so many different ones. Netflix and Hulu are no longer the two primary hubs. You could certainly get by, and let's be honest, you need food, water, and shelter. You don't need television to live. But in terms of just content accessibility, it's so diversified at this point. There's at least 7 big players in this market that it's kind of the days of just cheaper than cable facade are kind of over now, in terms of just the wealth of content and the accessibility and the paywalls and the streaming services that are behind it. We'll talk a little bit later if one of you guys want to bring it up, the news about Peacock as well. I don't want to steal the whole thunder, but I think Paramount Plus has still an uphill battle. The good news is they have the built-in subscriber base from CBS All Access. That's the good news. But the retention rate of that is going to be very interesting, especially now that it's more expensive if you want to watch without ads. It's a lot to unpack here. We'll do our best. Joe, I'll start with you.
Man, it's fun. When you look at that chart, you're just like thinking to yourself, like, man, where the hell is Paramount going to fit on here? Because I look at Apple TV and how far it's dropped down, and it's just like, we literally had what? We had Cherry come out on Apple TV. You had a Billie Eilish documentary come out on Apple TV. I'm even surprised it was that high above CBS and HBO and Showtime and all this stuff before, and then it drops. So now we got Paramount Plus entering the streaming wars. Oh God, I'm having technical difficulties again. Dom, can you take it?
Yeah, sure. I wasn't necessarily going to go off in that direction, but looking at that chart is really incredible. Now, of course, the first chart where everything is going down, the basis of the chart is people who stick with it from the new subscriptions, and that also I'm assuming is including the free trials, and then if you don't cancel the subscription, I need to cancel a subscription. I just realized. Anyway.
Nice.
I was going to be like, are you having technical difficulties too? Is something happening in Illinois?
Just my wallet. Just my wallet. But the bar is always going to go down. So that's fine. So don't freak out necessarily. But it is staggeringly, it is amazing the difference between Netflix, who's at the top, just from getting into that market when it did so early, being an early adopter of the model. There we go. To Apple TV, which, I'm sure people have already thought of this, but I cannot overstate this irony that Apple was the standard bearer for the longest time in our lives growing up for music, right? iTunes, that was astoundingly part of our lives. If you wanted to be legit and didn't necessarily just want to get everything off LimeWire or Napster, you got it through Apple. And through iTunes. So just seeing them kind of floundering about, especially when they already got Golden Globe wins. I still can't believe Jason Sudeikis won for Ted Lasso. I haven't seen it. Maybe he's amazing. It probably is based on it, but it's just amazing to see how it's floundering. So yeah, how Paramount is going to fit in here it's really going to be interesting. And I think that last, which Steve, you've been harping on, that last chart, the topic statistic where it's if you have CBS All Access, you're more likely to get something else. And it's amazing the inverse of that, again, with Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, the people who have been around a little bit longer here, Disney in the middle, which makes sense because it's got some time under its wings now. Almost a year, over a year, either way.
Over a year.
Yeah, that sounds right. And I think it's really just a matter of time. Now, Disney Plus is the most recognizable brand in entertainment. Netflix really just got in there early. Same with Hulu. HBO, kind of a mix. It's been around with the HBO Go, but it's HBO also now highly prestigious. But then, yeah, CBS. When you think CBS, I'm weird, but I also think I think evening news. I think milquetoast things sadly Colbert, which is already he's already kind of got some. Comedy Central was top tier, but now it's kind of all right, yeah, sure. I think Blue Bloods, right? Just these milquetoast, middle of the road, non-harmful, whatever TV series.
The last point I'll mention too is that Peacock, And there's not really much to report on here, but like Peacock took a huge loss as well. Peacock just had a $914 million loss reported for 2020. NBCUniversal came out and said, I could make the really low hanging fruit joke and say this is what happens when you try to run a streaming service off The Office, but I ain't going to go that far. But because I swear to God, I actually use Peacock every day. I don't. I have the free version of it because I watch the
particular
I watch the Dan Patrick Show. I watch the Dan Patrick Show every morning. So and that's all they run is The Office. Like I'll tell you right now, I do not know much else about what is on their platform because every interlude commercial break is all The Office.
Yeah.
It's the streaming service for the goddamn Office, and like. The other thing with Peacock, though, is Peacock reported 33 million signups. But again, there's a free tier here. You could be like me and just have an account and not pay anything. And they won't disclose how many of those 33 million are paying subscribers, which tells me it's a lot lower than they want.
Yeah, because honestly, I saw the stuff you have to pay to watch, and it's like Brooklyn Nine-Nine was one of the shows, which is also on Hulu. And Parks and Rec, the later seasons, I think you have to pay for as well, which is also on Hulu and Netflix. It's just like the stuff that you have to pay for Peacock to like stream is also available on other streaming services that, from this article, we can assume you're probably already paying for already. So it's just like literally the only thing you can watch entirely for free is probably the Dan Patrick Show, like Steve was saying, but all of The Office is on there for free. And it's just like, I guess they're kind of using that to like draw in people because of how popular of a show it is. And then hopefully they'll find something on there that they want to subscribe to, whether it be not The Office, whether it be Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parks and Rec, or whatever the hell NBC is making nowadays, because I don't even keep up with it.
Yeah, The Office is the good smelling bread to get you into the bakery, I like to say. That's what it is. Now, there's more stuff you can watch for free on it because the Dan Patrick Show is a channel on there.
Yeah.
And then I think the Rich Eisen Show follows it. There's like a select number of channels that are like politically themed, Good Morning kind of Today themed that you can watch for free. And it looks like a guide that you scroll down and watch stuff.
So, okay, I have a question for you guys then, because after hearing that HBO Max will be dropping its price, do you think other subscription services that are not Netflix, because I don't think Netflix raises its price more than drops it ever, because they know, like, even this article says, like, it is the starting streaming service. Like, if you're going to start streaming something, like a television show or a movie, you want to start something like streaming on your TV, Netflix is the perfect place to start. And I think Netflix is realizing that. Hulu, I mean, I literally subscribed to Hulu. I got a whole year where I only have to pay $2 a month. It was like part of their Black Friday deal in 2020. And literally I'm paying all of 2021 just $2 a month. But like, HBO Max is $15, Stars is $15, Apple TV, I think that's also $15 if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I always cancel it.
No, that's cheaper. I think that's $5. I think that's $5.
That's $5. Okay, all right. Well, now that we know that HBO Max is lowering its price, I'm kind of thinking like the only way these things can survive is also following that route, because it's like Disney Plus is pretty cheap too. It's $8 a month. Apple TV is $5 a month. Like, I'm imagining eventually Apple TV might do a hybrid method like Peacock, maybe. Like, if you're already an Apple member or you have like Apple Music, you can watch like these select things, but if you want to watch this, you have to pay for it. I don't know. I feel like they're going to have to adapt or die, I guess is what you can say. Not like fully die, but just, as we were saying, sink down to the bottom. Because it's just, at this point, it's like, what are you going to do? Netflix is literally making people pay more to watch their their streaming service, while like you guys probably even have more content out there, and people are not even subscribing to you guys.
I still say if you want one streaming service, if you just want one, if you could only have one, it's HBO Max.
I agree.
To the fullest extent.
Yeah,
and that's not even me. That's not even, and I know we're all movie guys here, but if you want diverse content, shows, movies, a good balance, I mean, hell, it's already the entire HBO catalog. Behind HBO Max, though, I wouldn't put Hulu too far behind it.
I would put Hulu second and then Netflix third.
That's how HBO
Max has Harvey Birdman. That's the end of the discussion. All right, move on.